Wayne Ferris. My first experience with Wayne was in Ohio. When him and Randy Rhodes, me and Idol went up there to work for Buddy Fuller, and I was only there at a short time. I think Honky Tonk is one of the most talented guys. I love Honky Tonk. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he still has a lot to offer the business. And one day soon, you just never know where Honky might just show up.
You talked about him a little bit earlier on. You mentioned Bruiser Brody. What are your memories of Bruiser Brody?
I can remember when his kid was born. And we were in San Antonio. And he was taking his son to swimming lessons. Is a 6-month-old. And, people always say he's a bully, Schultz a bully. Some guys say, I never saw Frank as a bully. I always saw Frank as Frank. And I knew him as a friend. I never knew him as a foe. I can only say that he was a great dad. He was a great father and a great husband. And one thing about it, and the way he died was a little iffy. I'm not pleased with that. And I don't think anybody in the business that has any cojones would be pleased with that.
What did you hear about him and Jose Gonzalez? I mean, we talked to Dutch Mantel and Salvio Vega and guys that were in the locker room and heard their versions of what happened. I mean, what is your understanding of what happened?
Well, I just understand that he got kind of snuck attack. I mean, he got Pearl Harbored, as we would say in the wrestling business, and I think that stemmed from maybe Bruiser being tough in the ring on him, or something, and maybe he scared the guy or whatever. But still, you don't kill a guy because he scared you. You either try to work it out or do something, but you just don't go stab a guy when he's taking a shower. I think that to me showed maybe why Bruiser Brody beat him up. There's no way you can explain why that happened, because it should have never happened. I mean, that's murder. And this guy's walking around today because he got away with murder.
Memories of One Man Gang.
I don't have a lot of memories. He was more with Fritz. One Man Gang was good though. Yeah. He was good in the ring. He was a hoot, man. He did well. He was more on the Fritz side. I worked with Fritz too. I was a world junior heavyweight champion for Fritz. But and I enjoyed working Fritz to a point. I didn't have a problem because I was a heel. I worked against the Von Erich, so I was perfect. Right. If you're a babyface going into Von Erich territory, you're in trouble. But the One Man Gang was a great guy. I mean, when you look at one of the greatest wrestling managers of all time, you got to look at Gary Hart. Gary Hart. You know what I loved about Gary Hart? All you people watching this, Gary Hart had the cojones to bring in other managers such as J.J. Dillon and book him there while he was still the booker. Most of the time, and he had Skandor Akbar there, who was a freaking legend. Skandor was a great guy. But he brought in like a J.J. Dillon, and everybody always used to say about J.J., you better watch him. He'll try to get your spot. And I can't say that about J.J. because I like J.J. personally, and I've never seen him do that. And I only had the pleasure of working for him and with him very, very shortly in the Tampa territory, and we can go over that in a little while. But Gary Hart was a smart man because he knew that if he brought in enough guys to put enough heat on him and he's drawing money, well, he was a booker. That's going to make him look good. And that's where so many people miss the business. Look, it's not about all you getting a pat on the back because you're in the main event. It's about the guy who puts the whole card together and makes it a great card from top to bottom. That's where you sell tickets. It's not just one match. All that match leads up to the main event. And you got to have the guts as a booker. And it's like when I owned the IWF, I never, ever. And Blackjack Mulligan begged me to come back in the ring. And at that time, I was young enough to do that. And I said, you know something, Jack? I'm not going to be like the rest of these assholes that wrote themselves in on top. I am just not going to do that. I'm going to build it with who we have here, and I'm going to stay in the background. I won't be the booker. I'm going to produce this thing, and I'll do the color commentary with Kevin Kelly, and we'll build it from there. I'm not going to write myself in, just like everybody else did. That's where the problem was in the business. You know, when you have bookers that write yourself in the main event each and every night, you start having really problems in the locker room. Well, right now, Jeff Jarrett's writing himself right in the main events right off the bat, and he's one of the owners of the company.
Ivan Putski, was he in the tournament?
Oh, man, Putski, shoot, yeah. Man, Ivan and me, we had a lot of good matches, and Ivan ran some towns for San Antonio, and we used to pack those towns, Ivan and myself, and like I think one of the YouTube matches were where they're talking about the thumbs, and I'll explain the thumbs. Ivan Putski, for all you non-intelligent wrestling fans, let me tell you something. He had a gimmick where he had people come out of the stands, punch him. I mean, he was like, a tough guy. He could handle all that. So when you work with Putski, he's not going to go down with just one punch. He's not going to go down with just a kick. I mean, you had to work him over to get him down. And it was hard to get him down then. But Putski sold more for me when he worked for me than I've ever seen him sell with anybody, because he knew that I would make sure that he was taken care of. And I enjoyed working with Ivan, and I was just a great guy. Inside and out the ring. He was super, super, super.
You actually teamed up with Chavo Guerrero too, right?
No, I never teamed up with Chavo. Shoot, no.
Okay.
No, I used to wrestle him.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a big feud in Los Angeles. I would never team up with Chavo Guerrero, ever.
What are your memories of working with Chavo?
Well, we had a lot of great matches. He was known as the Giant Killer. Well, since I wasn't a giant, so, I mean, it's hard to kill me when I wasn't a giant. But anyway, he was known as beating all the guys that came in, and a lot of Spanish wrestlers don't like to do jobs. They're known for that. And, but Chavo Guerrero, he was in Los Angeles, and I had a lot of feuds with him. I had I was America's heavyweight champion out there. One half of the America's heavyweight champions with Leroy Brown. And then, the San Diego TV champion, all that stuff doesn't mean anything unless you put butts in the seats. And so we were drawing, some money out there, doing pretty well. I'll never forget when my first trip into to Los Angeles Olympic Auditorium, which I used to love to wrestle. There's nothing like Richmond 95171 at the Olympic Auditorium. I went in, and my first night I wrestled there was sold out. I was the main event against Mil Mascaras, and I was taking Moondog Main's Hart place, and I'll never forget walking down that aisle. I went, holy smoke, man, this is wonderful. It's going to be good. And then, I had a good run there. Me and Piper tagged for a little while there. Then Piper left, and then Roddy passed the torch to me. And then I continued, and it was kind of like, the Eddy Mansfield hour out there. I managed everybody from Ito to the Hangman to Bad Leroy Brown, and wrestled. I told Leo Garibaldi one night, I said, why don't you just put me on the first match too? You got me on the second match to the main event. So why don't you just put me on that and help them out too,
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.